All right, everybody loves Raymond 360 Live. Tom Caltabiano here. Happy Everybody Loves Raymond Day here. For those of you watching, let's see that. Make sure that everything goes through okay. Yes, there we go. Okay, so a little technical glitch there. Let's hit that. Okay. Welcome, everybody loves Raymond 360 Live. Tom Caltabiano, writer on Everybody Loves Raymond, talking to you, hopefully seeing all of your comments as we go live on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. I guess we could add TikTok. I don't know. Are many of you on TikTok? All right, we need to talk about many things, including the Christmas ornament. So some people asked last time, they said, oh no, you're talking about the Christmas episodes. Did you talk about Thanksgiving yet? I haven't even talked about Halloween yet, but we do have to land on the Christmas ornament. So hello, everybody. Hello, Mona. Hello, Michael. Hello, Paula. There was a glitch and it didn't go live on Instagram, so that's why I am stopped and restarted. For those of you following along on the home game of going live from your studio around the world for the cost of only your time. So now I am looking. Let's see, where do I want to check this? Let's go to this post. Yes. Okay, here we go. So to make these Christmas ornaments available, here we go. I'm jumping right into it because I do want to talk about all things besides that. So don't let the white space fool you. That's where a beautiful photo or a beautiful slogan, not necessarily on white, on any background we designed. So it can be wood. It can. There's the back of the sled. I would not ride on this sled unless you are extremely small. If you are mouse size. So here again. So there's a few options, so again, still available. We usually hang ours on the door, wreath, and the Jazz Records one, which looks like a record. And we try and do that every year. And basically, whatever it costs us, that's what we sell it to you for. In the spirit of keeping the Everybody Loves Raymond Christmas episodes alive. So I do have a picture that I have to find out from. Well, let me explain. Let me go back a little. I'm just a guy who worked on the show. So I'm not an official person who owns the show in any way. That is big, giant corporations. So I do have the rights to my photos, but once you start getting into merchandising stuff, using other people's celebrities' likeness, like, for example, Marilyn Monroe's estate or Muhammad Ali's estate, I can't just put up a Marilyn Monroe line of things because the family, the estate, says, hey, guess what? We own her image and likeness. So what they do is a cease and desist. I'm sure you guys would visit me in merchandising jail. But I bring that up because there's a picture that I took of Peter Boyle looking as perfectly frank Merry Christmas as possible. He was just sitting in his chair when I snapped that photo. And when I say his chair, the default chair, the Frank Barone chair. So that beautiful image could be on the sled. So instead of seeing a white blank, you would see that image on the sled. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some mock-ups right away and take a vote. So that would be exactly that image on that sled. That's one of the things. The other thing is we can do a phrase. Now, a lot of people are like, why not use the picture from the Christmas picture? I don't have that picture, meaning I didn't take a picture at that moment. I have a lot of behind the scenes around that, but I don't think I took a picture of that moment, but I will look through my 30,000 negatives and see. And again, unlike nowadays where, I just took I'm going to say I took about 15,000 photos this month so far with my digital camera. Do I have a digital camera within reach? Usually I do. But I don't. But that I just put in a folder, search the date, boom, it's up there. With the my photos, I have to go back to the 3x5 binder of negatives, find the negative with a loop, and then scan it, etc. Which I'm willing to do. Okay, let's. So I'm setting the table because we will have that survey up, voted for, and decided this week, so we can get them out in time for Christmas. All right. Sorry for those of you confused about all the Christmas talk. Okay. Hello. Let me scroll through now. Gil. Hello, Gil. In the United, a lot of our friends in the United Kingdom, late there, right? Is it daylight savings? I lose track. We are not daylight savings, are we? Alexa, when does daylight savings start in the United States?
In the United States, daylight saving time started on March 10th, 2024 at 2 a.m. and will end on November 3rd, 2024 at 2 a.m.
Okay, November 3rd. So next week, next Sunday, we will fall back. Okay. And then I think you guys are a little bit behind us. But I bring that up because I'm getting so many good suggestions for snacks.
I'm not quite sure how to help you.
Thank you, Alexa. You may not interrupt now. But this, so this off of what Gil mentioned, and you can chime in, Gil, I'll put your comment up on the screen. This, I think, is similar to what you had mentioned in Scott. Here, this is if I was under the witness protection program and they're hiding my identity using biscuits. These I think of the Biscoff cracker, cookie, whatever you want to call it. I only think of those as being something that I would receive on a flight. And then all of a sudden, whoever's marketing that, it showed up everywhere in our local supermarkets here in the United States. And they even had a spread. They still have a spread, like a spreadable deliciousness. Oh, let me see. Do you guys know what ASMR is? ASMR is basically heightened sound. And if you look it up on YouTube, ASMR, fill in the blank, it's just heightened sound. Something that you would be saying in a theater, hey, you're really annoying me. Please stop doing that with your rapper. But there are people that really, really, really like watching it. So if you go on YouTube, there's an ASMR of everything on there. And I don't know I don't want to ask Alexa what it stands for, but I will open these. So Gil, let me know if that's the flavor profile that you are thinking of the cracker, the biscuit that you shared. Sorry, cracker. All right, let me scroll through these comments. Yes, hello, everybody. Ray and Frank dressed as Santa. Yes, or just Frank. Oh, and a reminder, don't forget, next week in North America, we fall back our clock. Oh, hi, Mona. I didn't even see that. And see that? I'm up to date now. Let me see what happens if I hit this button. Does that help me? Yes, I think so. Let me see. Aloha, Bobby. Yes, yes. Clocks have changed, so an hour earlier. Oh, so Karen, you guys went through the change? Interesting. Next Sunday. Okay, next Sunday for us. Okay, let me catch up, see if Gil has a okay, let's see. Here we go, Gil. That's the one, Tom. Okay, but Gil, what are they called? They're called, see, this is almost like having a dialogue. This is phenomenal. If I could have all you guys included on the Zoom, I would. Let me see this. I've never heard of Biscoff until I took an international flight and fell in love with them. Found them in the grocery stores when I got back, to my surprise and delight. Yes, Kathy, very, very good point. I never seen them outside of a flight for years. And usually on a flight, for some reason, you're starving and you will eat anything and you feel like you may never eat again. So I am filled with lack of self-control, and whatever they hand me on the airline, pretzels, weird mixes of snacks that I would never eat in real life. So yes. Okay, let's see this. Biscoff is a popular New York cookie. Okay, so Maureen, where are you from, Maureen? Because I think it's a European cookie. Are you saying it's popular in New York? Which I think would make sense. All right. Yes, Gil, when you get a chance, write what that is. Hello, Maureen. Yes, New York, New Jersey. Is that where you're from, or that's where you're saying it's popular? Interesting. So now there's in screenwriting, you don't present something unless you're going to use it. So I should by the end, take a bite of this. So let me see. Hold on. Let me see if I can get the annoying. Okay. Pretend you're in a movie theater trying to hear some quiet dialogue in a pivotal scene right now. Let me see. Wow. This is packed for an international event. Let me go to the other end. Hate to chew it. That would be very uncivil. Gil, thank you. Here we go. Has anybody heard of this? Thank you, Gil. Speculus. That sounds like a Danish or Dutch. Speculus sounds like a Dutch thing. Wow. This is literally the hardest thing I've ever opened. Let me see. I usually have a Swiss Army knife handy on my thing. It's literally, these guys did an amazing job. So for those of you, just to call back something that I wrote, the Jazz Records episode, when they're trying to open the CD, for those of you that are old enough to remember CDs, was always like, I'm amazed, like, what are they trying to prevent from the open? Okay, we have some progress. Now, are these loosely packed or are these individually packed? Because one way commits me. Oh boy. See, now we have, this is problematic. In good conscience, so I don't ruin the planet personally, I'm gonna have to eat this entire sleeve so they stay fresh. Okay. So for those of you who have never seen what I'm doing, and by the way, when some of you are watching going, what does this have to do with Rose Raymond? For those of you who have followed for a long time, we had a cookie contest in the writer's room. And as we used to say in the writer's room, anything to avoid writing. And so one of our writers, Jeremy Stevens, he claimed that Hydrox were the best, better than Oreos cookies. And then we had this contest of eating all those cookies. So for those of you who've never seen it, here you go. I get $0 endorsement dollars. That is the company that makes Biscoff. Okay, and it's Speculus. Speculus sounds a little bit like it doesn't sound healthy. Hold on. So it's the ginger, Gil, that when you put up and said, let me just do that again. For those of you who go, what is that? Okay. Oh, you know what? It's rude to chew on camera unless you're friends with this guy. Life short, talk with your mouth full. And by the way, there we go. Phil Rosenthal on Netflix. Somebody feed Phil. So, okay, what am I drinking today? Let's see what they put out for me today. Oh, this is all jiggly jangly. How do I unjiggle that? My mic is all over the map. Okay, here we go. Wow, getting really into the food stuff. Loose tea, brewed English breakfast tea, Twinings, one of the, I think, the oldest brand in the world. Right, there you go. Okay, so let's see. Originally Belgian biscuits. Yes. Okay, thank you. So we will do a deep dive into those another day. Greetings from Sleepy Hollow, Illinois. Most of the cookies are under the title of digestives, not overly sweet, I believe. Good dunkers. Okay. A little color commentary, we say. You can buy Biscoff paste, peanut butter-like texture in the UK. Yes, I've seen it there. I've seen it here, rather, but it's pretty new. For those of you who, I'm just curious, chime in if you have not ever heard of the Biscoff cracker. And again, I wish I was sponsored by them. I would probably be a few pounds heavier, but there you go. If you've never heard of those, I'm very curious. But brilliant marketing, sell to people on airlines, and now you can find it everywhere in supermarkets. Okay, so I think I've clarified some of the well, a lot of comments to catch up on. I think I've clarified a lot of the scope of what I can and can't do. Merchandising wise, sales wise, for example, this is everybody on our site here voted on this. We took months and months and months, designed a beautiful mug. This looks, even if you never saw the show, just seeing that mug It's a good design. It's words. It's words that a lot of the, that we all wrote. But it's every time you read one of these lines, yes, nice. I tried being nice once. Didn't care for it. Yes, you know whose line that is. So the images, we're gonna have a nice survey. We'll put up images, put up sayings. For those of you that bought the other anniversary limited edition ones, you know how they look on your tree. They're always nice. And then when we get the samples, I'll hold them up. And then we'll make it clear, okay, that you can buy them. All right, let me see. Okay, I got to go back to. Here we go. Hello, everybody. Hello. Hi, Patty. Let's see this. Going back to this, they have manufacturing bakeries in New Jersey. And Maureen, when you're from New York, New Jersey, so a lot of times people who are from New Jersey are embarrassed that they're from New Jersey, and they say New York originally, and then they stop it down to New Jersey. And I say that as somebody from New Jersey. So that's, I was born in New Jersey and I lived in New York. I went to NYU, so I lived in New York City. But I have to say I'm from New Jersey. But then again, I don't want to get too much on a tangent. But if you're born there, like I have a friend who was born in Brunei, but he grew up in Philadelphia, and he's Korean American. So is he a Bruneian, right? I forget. I was in Brunei, and I visited his birthplace, I think. By the way, not the best food in Brunei. I'm just gonna leave it at that. All right. Halloween is coming up. Who likes to dress up for Halloween? Oh, you know what I did? I neglected our audience last time on Instagram, and I got a lot of, the term is flack, feedback, anger, what for? So now I'm looking at Evers Raymond, and I'm seeing the live feed. Oh, yes. Wow, look how live that is. See? That's how you know it's live. Okay. Anyone? Oh, yes. Oh, awesome. We've just been watching Raymond. Great. Okay, so Ryan. Now, Ryan has admitted that he's been to New Jersey. I see. Okay, Karen Jack, Jersey, what exit? Okay, all this New York humor, all these comedians here. Very funny, very funny. Okay, so it's okay. I think I've caught up on there. And I think for the most part, everybody enjoys watching on Facebook. All right, the Halloween episode. The Halloween episode is a great episode, season 3. Season 3, Halloween Candy. That episode was written by Mr. Steve Scrovan. And Steve Scrovan had in real life been given, I believe it was stocking stuffers of those colored little you-know-whats. And he came to Phil Rosenthal in the writer's room in season 1. And he said, hey, Phil, I have an idea. I got this, and maybe we could do something where they get given out on Halloween. He knew there could be something entertaining with those objects. So, and that's a lot of times there has to be, you have to make it into a story. So a lot of times when people say, oh, what happened to you? Like Tucker Carlson, I'm having a fight over a suitcase. Okay. If you were at a party and you said, I had a fight with my wife over a suitcase, you're not necessarily going, that would be a hysterical episode of television. You have to make it somehow into a hysterical episode of television. So Halloween Candy was a risk. It's funny now saying this in this time that it was a risque show. The idea of just colored objects being handed out or somehow introduced caused a little bit of an uproar at CBS, but it didn't even get that far because the head of CBS said, you know what? Let me just let's see this. Okay. I'm trying to get back to let's see all these comments. Yes. The president of CBS said, you know what? We're not going to do that show this year. It's too risque. It's too risky. You're not doing well in the ratings. You're probably going to get canceled. Why bring negative attention to the show by doing that episode? So it went away. And then it was, and I'm trying to remember, is it, you guys can help me out. Was it Halloween Candy season 3? I believe. So here's how I remember the seasons off the top of my head when you guys name an episode. Season 1 was at Hollywood Center Studios. Season 2 was at Warner Brothers Studios, but we were in temporary offices until I want to say season 3, when we moved to permanent offices. We were in mobile home type offices across from the place called The Mill, where they built sets. So Ray and I shared an office, and the walls were paper thin, and so you could hear the saws going, the band saws, and all the construction of the sets. So we were not a welcome show. We were kind of a weird show in that Friends was owned by NBC and Warner Brothers, and so they were like red carpet everything, the best production offices, etc. We were owned by CBS and David Letterman's company and HBO. So they were like, here's some mobile homes we were in between the gas, where they filled the cars with gas and filled the fleet, because at Warner Brothers, about 5,000 people on the lot. Our fan, Gil, has toured it, and a few other people have toured the Warner Brothers lot. Hold on, let me have a little, here we go. By the way, I wanted to hold up my AIS mugs, but somebody, I won't name who, has them in his house. So I'm ordering new replacement AIS mugs. So we were in between the gas station. I think they call it it's almost the motor pool. That's what they call it in the military, and that's what they call it at Warner Brothers. 5,000 people are on the Warner Brothers lot. So it's like a little little like military base with everything self-contained. We have a fire department, a motor pool, a first aid station, all of that stuff there. So that's how, when I, for some reason, tied to my memory is where were our offices then when we did that show. So I'm pretty sure it was episode 3. So yeah, let's see. I mean, season 3. So let me see here. Yes, that's an excellent thing to bring up. Oh, let's see. Anybody can. I got to disagree with Phil. Rude to eat on camera. On a different note, can you please discuss in another post what is the backstory on Good Girls? Appreciate every time and effort in making this happen. Your time and effort. Okay. Yes, I guess Phil's point is life is short. He's doing a food show about eating. So if he waited to talk, the show would be 4.5 hours of people waiting for him to finish chewing, and then he starts to talk. But point noted, and I think in mixed company in normal circumstances, I would have to agree. Who wants to see people chewing on camera? You know, a quick tangent. When they did a special about Everest Raymond, they said, "Oh, let's do lunch with the writers." And so during the Last Laugh special, which I think is a DVD extra, some people have pointed out, they decided, let's have lunch with the writers. So we're all sitting there eating, and I thought it was not a good idea, because it's just it just nothing about it felt relaxed. It felt like, oh, you're interrupting these guys eating lunch, even though it was well planned out and all this stuff. It just seemed like cute idea, but I personally would not do it again, even though there's a lot of funny stuff within there. The Good Girls episode, remind me of that, and we will talk about the Good Girls episode in depth, because that was one of the first episodes where I believe also season 2, that was one of the first episodes where we had a reveal after a reveal and a kind of deepening storyline where we had a lot of twists and turns. Okay, so the Halloween episode, the show did not do well. The president said, don't do this episode. I believe season 2, we're still not doing great, but not terribly. And then I think finally, and it might have been just because he needed time to make it for a Halloween episode, it has to come in early in the season. And so I think it finally got that green light. And then, of course, the hysterical storyline of Peter of Frank giving out those candy color, those what look like chocolate covered candies. Wow, that's a mouthful. And then, of course, something that Ray and I both learned. I wrote the checkbook episode in season 2. And one of the things that Ray and I fought Phil on, and we were wrong. I'd say we were, what is the percentage? 100% wrong. That's what it was. Phil kept saying, Robert has to be the one that gets to the ATM and discovers this. Just like Robert has to be the one that comes to the house after those, that there's been complaints coming from this house. So Ray and I were still tied to, and this is a good trait of Ray's, Ray cannot do a dishonest thing on stage. So he has to make it real. So that's why when you see him presenting at award shows, Ray is usually awesome. And if you guys haven't seen it yet, if you look up the let me see, what is the award show? The foreign correspondent, Golden Globes. If you look up the Golden Globes awards from this year, Ray presented, and the way Ray presents, it pulls people in and it feels real. So that's the great thing about Ray. It as an actor and as a person, he can't do a false thing on stage. So in his mind, that you extrapolate that, and it's like, okay, what are the odds of Robert being the only policeman that comes to the ATM machine in the checkbook episode? And Phil says, but the audience wants to see it. And Ray and I were like, but it's so TV. You're in TV land where, I don't know what the police force is, but there's a lot more people than Robert. And so Phil was correct. It's so rewarding to see Robert coming to the rescue of this woman in the checkbook episode when Ray is trying to break into the ATM machine, and then Robert ends up trying to help, and then in real life, Ray's real brother, the policeman in real life, comes along and discovers them both. So that's just a little side note that sometimes, and that's why when you're doing a movie experience and you're like, okay, I really got pulled in, when you're invested in these characters and you only have a little bit of time, you have to pay it off that way. So, there's a famous Seinfeld episode where a whale gets a golf ball stuck in its blowhole. And it turns out that it was Kramer who was hitting golf balls. And that's, and so it's so rewarding to know that. And to have your tie to reality interfere with the audience's experience of viewing is a very interesting place to come from. Okay, let me catch up on, here we go. Never eat egg salad on camera. Thank you, Bob. I'm going to write that that is some good life advice. Chocolate coins, yes. A lot of love for the checkbook episode. Okay, that is very good to hear, Diane. Okay. Yes. Yes, very much. Sorry. In the checkbook, that ATM machine was played out deliberately to be like a silent movie scene. Okay. So the Halloween episode, we finally have it happen. And of course, there was a deliberate move in the Halloween episode to have Peter Boyle not look like the monster from Young Frankenstein. So I've read online a lot of people posting, boy, what a missed opportunity. Why didn't they think of it? Well, Phil decided, okay, we could. For those of you that have been following along, we put in an episode called 6 Feet Under, which was written by actually Steve Scrovan, myself, and Cindy Shupak. We put an exact piece of dialogue from Taxi Driver in that episode. So we are very well aware of Peter Boyle, his history, and the magnitude of his acting experience. But Phil thought it would be, I think, and we can ask Phil next time he's on, it would be distracting. Then it becomes about, oh my gosh, Peter looks just like the monster in Young Frankenstein. And so that was a decision that was made for those of you that are like, why didn't you take that opportunity? And that's why In the same way, if you have too big of a celebrity, on an episode, you'd no longer believe, especially if you're used to normal, quote unquote, normal characters. It all of a sudden takes you out. You're like, that's not the vacuum cleaner salesman, that's whatever, Brooke Shield. I mean, it hurts you. So I think that was the same philosophy that Phil had. He was like, why, to get one recognition thing and then hurt the rest of the episode didn't make sense. So let's see here. Hi, Mona. Robert tells Ray about a cop he worked with who was shooting blanks. Yes. Officer Poplowski. Is that who he could protect, but he could not serve? Is that, yes. Real versus rewarding the audience. I think we can suspend reality for the comedy payoff. Yes. Beth, excellent comment. But you have to be aware of it, because if you stretch reality too much, then we would say it takes the audience out. So if you're like, okay, well, that can never happen, like it all of a sudden you're no longer invested. So it has to be, could this happen in real life? Just like the fly eating episode, which it happened 90% in real life to Ray's brother, other than Ray didn't see his brother's date eat a fly. But Ray's real life brother did go on a date and went back to her apartment, and the place was filled with snakes, and he got worried, and he ended up going out the fire escape to get away from her. So there is, but if you stretch credibility, then you as the audience, you go, okay, and that's why I think, and Ray and I have talked about it next time Ray is on. By the way, just to reiterate again, also, Ray has no social media. He has never had social media. I think next time I see Ray, I'll make a little video stating that, because I feel bad. There's an AI Ray out there asking people to DM him and join his VIP club. And unfortunately, it's very hard to shut that stuff down. And I really, really hope that nobody gets taken advantage of by these fake bots, et cetera, or this AI stuff. And that's going to be harder and harder to police, especially with any rapidity. I think that means speed. Okay. So now some people have asked, why didn't you do other Halloween episodes? So the way it worked in the writer's room is you would come up with a story idea, and sometimes it would lend itself to a holiday. Now, Halloween is not as big a holiday here as Thanksgiving or Christmas. So there's not, Halloween, for the most part, is not associated with family tension and terribleness, which is what we really like for a family drama. Thanksgiving, you're forced to spend time with your family, a lot of people who you do not like. And Christmas, of course, there's always the pressure of buying the right gift, buying a gift, not having enough money to buy a gift. Are you showing your love? Have you paid attention to my life to show that you actually care about me? All of those dynamics don't really apply to Halloween. So it's not a high profile episode for at least for Everose Raymond. Now, if you go to if you're in a younger demographic and dressing up is a big thing, that would lend itself more to Halloween episodes. But that's basically the reason. And even Jazz Records, which I wrote, that happened to me in real life in the spring. My father accused me of ruining his jazz records. It's I'll talk about it at length closer to Christmas. I've talked about it in the past, but that happened in April, I want to say, or May, April or May. And Phil just said, ruin the jazz records, put it up on the board. And then it morphed into that Christmas episode. So you also have to time it out and et cetera. And believe it or not, comedy doesn't play as well internationally as you would hope. So when you're making a movie, a drama, or a horror film or something, plays really well internationally. So very few comedies translate. I'm not even talking about TV sitcoms. I'm just saying in general, If you were the financier and you're trying to make a movie that can make money internationally, you're better luck making an adventure movie, action adventure movie, than a comedy. So, a little side note, that is true. Friends is the anomaly. Everett Raymond is an anomaly. Seinfeld does not translate well internationally, even though here in the United States, when it went off the air, it was the #1 show on television, even though it took a very long time to get there. Okay, let's check a little bit. Okay, sorry, I'm reading. So for my fans like Gil and Karen in Plymouth, England, and Paula, like, I just show the credit. Sometimes I have to be sure. Hello, Henry. Was the Chantilly lace color a reference to Frank's appearance on the X-Files? Sorry if you already answered it. I saw the X-Files episode of the day and just noticed it. The Chantilly lace color, when was that? When was that shown on Frank's appearance? And I will add this, Henry. I will intensify the mystery. I am colorblind, so I don't see colors. I see colors. So I see, when I look outside, I see the green and the blue and all that stuff. But shades of purple, red, these are my weaknesses. So colors don't pop for me like they do for other people. So let's see. The house painting episode, Henry. Oh, yes, the Chantilly. By the way, do you know what Henry, I'm glad you brought this up. Between me and you, or is it between you and I? I found the label to that paint can, an actual extra label to that paint can. I will try and find it. I will try and bring it up and show it and hold it up. That is interesting. So Frank Paints the House was written by an outside writer named Scott Buck, who also wrote, there was an HBO series called Rome. Was that it? I did not see it, but he wrote Frank Paints the House. So that would be a question for him. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Yes, sorry. Yes, sorry. I'm scanning these things when you hear the silence. All these are all very good questions. What trivia? When you think, how much trivia can we show? Poplawski. Yes. So I added that. I don't know if that was my episode, but I added the name Poplawski because somebody in my mother's church back in New Jersey, who's still around. So it was actually Father Poplawski, but it was a funny name, so we put it in as a police officer's name. And that, by the way, I have to say, when you're watching these shows and they're these giant timeless hits, you're watching I Love Lucy and you hear a name, we'd be in the writer's room and Phil would go, who has a funny name? Like, we need a name here. And then just you say a name, and then your friend or whoever's name would end up in an episode of television, just like my friend's name is Frank Pecorella. And so we changed it to Chuck Pecorella because it couldn't be two Frank Pecorellas. Okay, let me check. Let me swing over to Instagram here and see. Hello, Ireland. Fermanagh Island. Did I make that sound terrible to you? Okay, Roseanne killed it with the Halloween episodes. Interesting. In the Christmas episode where Ray splashed Deborah with the brownie batter, I was so distracted during the scene because it looked like it went into her eye. Huh. That's a good question for Patty. And I don't know if Patty would Deborah is played by Patricia Heaton, but we called her Patty because that is her name. But it's weird when you're on the outside, like, oh, you're that familiar that you call her Patty. Anyway, it would be a question for her. I don't know if she would remember. I have pictures of that moment, and I don't think it did. So I don't remember. I have to think back now, 20 years. I don't remember them yelling cut because she got it in her eyes. But it might be really close to her eye, but it was just making you uncomfortable. But an excellent question. Yes, I don't think so, but yes, I get it. And when I watch that episode, I go, boy, were we lucky that it didn't, go in her eye and ruin the take. If I were to bet, I would think they carefully placed it there and then did the take, but I don't think so. Yes, Ryan, we are streamed. Everybody watching, we are streamed on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The checkbook episode when Andy tells Ray he needs to reconcile his balance. Yes, very good. Oh, Karen, you didn't enjoy the checkbook episode. Interesting. Okay, now I'm catching up. By the way, I'm working backwards. Yes. So Joe Manganiello, do you wait? Is it a hard G, Joe? So in going back to the Halloween episode, yes, someone mentioned it. If you go on YouTube, you'll see outtakes of they're giving the children candy and they're doing take after take after take. And Phil Rosenthal's real life son, Ben Rosenthal, goes, I think I have enough. So there's an honest little boy who doesn't understand that TV, you do the same thing over and over again. And perhaps one of Lou Schneider's children is in the doorway. And I think you're probably right. I would have to look at that again. Lou Schneider had no shortage of boys who could be in the show. And it was probably, you needed kids. So it was, blatant nepotism, but also you're like, hey, we need some kids for this scene. And so why not have kids that belong to people that worked in the show? Yes. Yes, Scott Buck wrote the episode. Sorry, here, I'm going to bring that up for you. Yes, so Peter Boyle won for the X-Files in 1996, and the Scott Buck wrote Frank Paints the House many years later. So that I would call a coincidence. Let me see. At the end of No Thanks episode, who threw the ice cream that hit Ray in the head? How far away were they? Okay, Paula. I can't know the answer to everything, but I know the answer to that. So, interesting why you bring that up. Why are you interested, Paula? Not that, we're talking about trivia for Everett Raymond, so it doesn't, as we would say when we were, 11 years old, you cut off the B on because, just cause. That's all reason enough. So for those who don't remember, No Thanks, I believe, was that where they went to the car show? But they didn't show the car show, even though we filmed the car show, one of the few episodes where we actually filmed an entire scene that was not seen by the public. But that is the one where Ray has his corduroy pants and he's making noise. I'm glad you bring this up, Paula. Okay, so at the end of No Thanks, Ray and Robert and Frank are sitting at the table, and Ray is talking to Deborah in the kitchen, for those that haven't seen this, and Ray feels triumphant, and then all of a sudden he gets hit in the face by 2 scoops of ice cream. So when we film in front of the live audience, you don't want to tip that surprise. So a black, it's kind of like it's just a panel of wood, a wood frame with a cloth insert, like a duck hunting blind. It says Everett Raymond on it, usually is wheeled in front of the audience so they can't see what's behind it. Now, what was behind it was our props woman, Rhonda Robinson, who I'm hoping will be a guest soon because she'll have a million questions that she can answer. She had the ice cream in her hand. Now, there was one of the travesties of doing a show live is if you make a mistake, the audience will often see it. So the 200 people are watching TV monitors above them, and they're also watching the stage. Now, the 200 people are watching a feed of one TV set, and that is controlled by someone called the switcher. The switcher has four images in front of them, a quad split, we call it, and they decide, okay, show camera A, show camera B, show camera C, show camera X, okay? The switcher was supposed to be showing camera B, and instead they showed camera A. Camera B showed the shot that you saw on television, which is Ray talking to Deborah, and then he gets hit in the side of the face with ice cream. But when the switcher went to camera A, what the audience saw on their screen was a blonde woman holding ice cream in her hand behind a black screen. And so they were very confused. Rhonda doesn't know that. Ray and Deborah don't know that. So the audience is kind of going, what is going on? So now they see her. She throws it perfectly, hits Ray. But the in-studio audience, it hurt their laugh because they're just like going, wait, oh, he's going to, it's a terrible thing because, as we've said before, you work on a script for months. You write it. You rehearse it for all week. Every single detail, dots, pauses, all this stuff. Then you get in front of the live audience and only have one chance for the audience to see it for the first time and be surprised. And when that is blown, we all felt like a huge letdown. Like at any point, the train can come off the rails. However, having said that, the audience still laughs. You guys don't know that, watching it, 20 years later, that Rhonda was seen off camera, etc. So there you go. That's Paul. I hope that answers your question, and much, much more than you were expecting, I assume. All right, let's see what we have. I wonder if I can I show comments? Okay, if this disconnects, people, forgive me. So let's see. No. Okay. I'm trying to see if I could click over to comments from Instagram, but I don't see them at all. You are welcome, Paula. I noticed the I Love You episode in season 1 that one of the twins disappeared from his high chair. Interesting, Ed. I will have to look at that. It's possible. So if the kids are acting up, it is possible that they would pull one of the kids and hope that the camera isn't on them for that take, just to make it so the audience, so it just doesn't slow down the show. So that's possible. It's entirely possible. And also, unless it's a jump cut, sorry, not a jump cut, but unless it's like Deborah's talking and you see the twins, then Ray's talking, then back to Deborah instantly, and there's no twin there. That's different than, oh, where did, maybe the kid got out of his chair, and do we believe that the kid just got it, naturally, or was it a mistake? So excellent point. All right, a few more questions. Wow, look at the time already. Here we go. Let me go back to Instagram and see if we have any questions. So many questions. Voila. Yeah, don't say voila. When Deborah cooks with Marie and Amy and tries to tell her, yes. Which episode was no thanks? I can't remember. Yes. Corduroy pants. Yes. Okay. This is awesome. Thank you. Okay, Karen, you're recanting, you're qualifying your, not one of your favorite episodes. Clearly name of a town that you guys love was Massapequa. Yes, Massapequa, Hohokus. What was the, there were some, New Jersey has some funny names, Long Island, some funny names. Yes. All right. Final questions, everybody. And don't forget, here, let me lean way over here. Hold on. For those of you that ordered these, I think a big shipment is going out. These are selling like hotcakes, which I do appreciate. And again, it's not like we are cleaning up on this. This was a long time to design, get the original print, make it wood, make it magnetic. It works, but cross one thing off your Christmas list. That's I know it's weird. It's the giving spirit, but I always feel a sense of pressure. And so I'm always like, oh, I do have that one extra gift. We look forward to your votes on the sled. We'll do the sled. And of course, there we go. Phil will be having a new season, by the way. Keep your cookie recommendations. I'll take all the cookie recommendations you can give me. All right. That concludes today. Talking all things Everybody Loves Raymond. And don't forget, I try and read every single comment. If I don't get around to answering them on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, I will try and answer them during the week. Remind me, I generally don't avoid answering questions, but I just probably don't get around to it. So thank you so much for following. Have a good week, everybody. We will see you next week, and time change next week. So be aware of that.